Welcome back. In this video, we are going to check out the text box and the password box in combination. So we are going to create a little login screen here. So let's go ahead and do that. First of all, I'm going to make XAML a little bigger, and I don't want to use a grid here. I'm just going to use a stack panel instead, which allows me to stack controls on top of each other. I'm going to start with a label. So the user should know what kind of information should be entered. So I'm going to start with username. Then below that, I would like to have a text box. So I'm gonna add a text box, and that text box should have the name of text box user name. So TB username. So just a text box right now. And as you can see, well, it's too close to the edges. So I want to add a little margin to my stack panel, and I'm just gonna go for 10 pixels. So now it has a margin towards all directions, as you can see. All right, so that's our text box. Now I want to have another label for my password. So I'm just gonna create one with password as its content. And now below that, I'm just gonna create the password box. And that's it. So there we are. We have our little password box. And actually, let me add a button below that as well. So I'm gonna create a new button, which is with a margin of, let's say, 5. And then we have content of login. So the text should be login on that button. And let's add a click event to it. So click, and I'm gonna create a new event handler. So that's our button. As you can see, we have this little button here with this margin. So it's not exactly the same width as those text fields. And yeah, we can change that as we please, but that's gonna be fine for now. And now the password box is something that I want to execute later on and change a little bit. So first of all, I'm gonna add a new message box here. So it's just gonna say something like welcome, and then the user name. So tb username.text. So it should welcome the person who tries to log in. And that's pretty much everything this button is gonna do in this example. Now there we are, and I'm gonna add my username here or enter it. It's gonna be Dennis, and the password is gonna be password. And as you can see, the password is hidden because it's a password box and it doesn't want to show you any information. So that's exactly what I wanted to happen. So I'm gonna press login, and it says welcome Dennis. So instead of just logging me in, this could send me to a different window or a different screen where I see all the relevant information that is required. Okay, so what if I don't want these dots to be here? I want to have, let's say, access instead. Well, then I can go into my password box and change its settings. So I can change, for example, the password char, which is going to be the password character. And I can change that to, for example, this little star. So let me run that again. And you will see if I enter something, now it's a star instead. So you could even go ahead and do something like an H. So instead of having the circle or the star, you will have H's now, which hide the password. So now somebody could think I have plenty of H's as my password there. All right. So that's what you can play around with. And there are plenty of other properties you can check out for the password box. All right. So I'm going to go back to my star. And what I would also like to add is a max length. So you can see there is something called max length, a property. And here I can specify how long the password has to be maximum. So it shouldn't be longer than, let's say, 8 characters, because I just want to have this very simple login box. And some people are very disappointed about those kind of boxes where you only can have 8 characters, because some passwords are just longer, and then people have to think about new passwords. So whenever you use something like that, be very careful with that. So a max length, maybe something like 25 or 20 should be good to go, but 8, let's say I have 8, and then I want to add another character to my password, it's not possible. So you can see 8 characters, nothing more than that. So you can limit it straight away without having to inform the user afterwards, hey, this password is too long, because he can only enter a specific amount of characters. All right, so that's how you can use the password box in your UI.